Hello and welcome to the Bikes or Death podcast. My name is Patrick and I am your audio tour guide, taking you on conversational journeys with radical people who recreate on bikes and love the outdoors. Join me, won't you? All right, well, first I'd like to give a shout out to our newest patrons. Y'all help keep the lights on, keep gas in the van and batteries in the recorder. I literally can't do it without y'all and all the other patrons. So this week, let's give a shout out to Jeff Corey, Stephen Young, Robert Crawford, and I got to give a little bit of a special shout out to Robert because he showed up to the recent Bikes or Death Spring Camp Out trip that we went on in the Sam Houston National Forest on the restaurant tour loop that I created. And it was really designed as a way to introduce people to bikepacking and the outdoors. And so it was really cool to have a first timer show up. And, Robert was a very accomplished cyclist. It was his first time bikepacking, and it was really great to have him out there. So thank you, Robert. Congrats on your first bikepacking camp out. Forward to seeing you out there and doing a lot more of them, honestly. And also thank you for being a Patreon. We also got to thank Paul Fallon, Tyrell Lewis, and Aaron Huey. Seriously, thank y'all so much for stepping up. I can't do it without y'all. It is never too late to sign up to be a patron. We've got a lot of new perks coming for patrons. And actually, if you head over to patreon.com/bikes or death, you're going to see some changes that we've made to, let's say, sweeten the pot a little bit, shall we? Entice you a little bit? I mean, really, it's only $1 a month. We're already bringing the hot fire content that you love. You could just give $1 for that, but we're also throwing in a little bit more. Discounts to the store, discounts to other brands, other businesses that you know and love. Lots of good things. So if you want to head over, check that out. That's cool. If not, I still love you and I still want you to enjoy this show equally as much. Before we get to the show, I want to tell you about a couple ad announcements. You get it? Ad announcements? I made that up myself. That some of our partners wanted to share with you. The first one comes from Bikepacking Roots. If you consider yourself an adventure cyclist of any type, Bikepacking Roots wants to hear from you in their 4th annual Bikepacking and Adventure Cycling Community Survey. It'll only take like 5 minutes to complete, and you could win one of nearly 3 dozen prizes, including some pretty sweet Bikes or Death merch, if I may say so myself. Through this survey, Bikepacking Roots is striving to better understand accessibility changes, barriers to entry, safety concerns, and individuals' outdoor backgrounds as they all really relate to adventure cycling experience. This knowledge is critical in supporting the growth of a more diverse and accessible community. So if you're a bikepacker, a road tour, gravel enthusiast, or just aspiring towards any of these types of bike adventures, your perspective is really valuable. So to complete this survey and let your voice be heard, head over to bikepackingroots.org. You'll find a link to the survey there. And this survey is only available for like a week. So don't dilly-dally. Get on over there, fill it out because it is important. It makes a difference and it helps them to represent you and I better. As you know, most of us, unfortunately, have to work. And we all know that riding your bike to work is the best way to start your day, and it's a great way to relieve stress on your way home. But who's going to relieve the stress from your shirt from being sweaty and stinky when you get there? 6 a.m. work shirts have solved your work attire conundrums with a cycling-inspired professional dress shirt. Have you ever noticed that cycling jerseys have 2 materials allowing for sweat wicking and fit? That's when the owner of 6 a.m. work shirts realized that he could incorporate the same technology into a professional dress shirt for cyclists and commuters, or really just anyone who wants to look good and ride their bike and not smell and sweat, which could be a lot of us. 6 a.m. work shirts mesh side panels solve several problems that are all too common in traditional dress shirts. They're breathable, sweat-wicking, antimicrobial dress shirts with a slim athletic fit right out of the rack. And patrons of this show will receive a code for 20% off these awesome shirts. So to learn more, head over to 6amworkshirts.com, or you can find out all the details in the show notes. All right, well, today's episode is a special one to me. It took place with Jerod Foster's Adventure Media class. And this year we went to Caprock Canyon State Park, which is up in the panhandle of Texas. And it was the first time that I had personally visited this park. It is home to the largest bison herd in Texas. And it was the first time that I had seen bison that close. We actually carefully as we could, rode through bison because there was hundreds of them as there's nowhere to go. And they seemed like they were going to be there all day. So we in cars and everybody kind of moseyed on by them and just hoped that, we just hoped, and that's all we did. We hoped and we pedaled, and what else can you do? Aside from the bison, I was there accompanied by Jerod Foster's students, and if you don't know, he teaches a course at Texas Tech University called Adventure Media. And as part of this course, he takes usually about 16 students into an outdoor experience. And most of the time it's on bikes, and we're doing bikepacking. So for example, in 2019, we went to Big Bend, 2020, COVID, and now in 2021, I went with them to, like I said, Caprock Canyon State Park. This particular conversation takes place on the evening of our first night camping there at Caprock Canyon State Park. Among the participants were all mostly first-timers, new cyclists with very little experience and not all the right gear. And it's always so amazing to see people who put themselves in situations willingly. I mean, all these people knew what they were signing up for, willingly to go out and push themselves and potentially fail. You know, failure was a real thought for a lot of these people, not because of being negative, but because of uncertainty. You know, having never done something before, the fear of the unknown. What is it going to be like? Can I do it? Can I ride my bike 30 miles with, you know, all this gear, camera gear, and all my sleeping gear, my food, and did I bring enough food, and did I bring enough water, and what about my friends, and all these things? I mean, these are all real concerns that a lot of these students felt. But this conversation took place after accomplishing day one on this particular Rails to Trails in Caprock Canyon State Park. And it took place in a beautiful arroyo, and the sun was setting, and the temperature was setting. But it was a really great conversation to be able to get perspectives from these new cyclists and these new bike packers, and some of them even new to the outdoors, and hear their experiences and listen to them and learn from them about what they're feeling. So that's part one that we're going to be releasing today. And there's going to be a part two to this podcast forthcoming, TBD, that's going to follow Tom and Alyssa, who were two of the students on this trip. And I basically followed them throughout their journey. And so we're piecing that one together, and that one's going to be forthcoming. All right, well, that's it. As you can tell, I'm excited about this episode. I hope that you enjoy it. And as always, let's have Miles Arbor take it away with the Bikes or Death theme song. Take it away, Miles.
You load up your bike, you ride away from home. You could be with your friends, or you could be alone. You ride for a day, or maybe more. You just love being in the great outdoors. Everything you need is strapped to your bars, including that new pillow you got from Santa Claus. And then you think, oh shit, to yourself. You left that super lightweight tent on the living room shelf. Bikes or death. Bikes or death. Podcast.
Well, thank you all for coming to the Bikes or Death in Caprock Canyon. Thank you for riding your bikes here. Thank you for not complaining too much and making this a miserable experience for Jerod. No, today went pretty well. How's everybody feeling?
Good. 10 out of 10.
Yeah? Happy to be here?
So happy.
Well, we were going to get it started with Sky. Just for people listening, the class did a trip out to, was it here? Actually, maybe tell us about that trip. What was the trip that y'all went on?
So it was about 27 miles. It was very windy. I think it was 30 miles per hour or 40. And we basically just rode and rode. We left town. I'm not sure what direction, honestly. I wasn't too prepared for it, but I learned a lot. It was a crazy experience. I got blown off my bike at one point.
Really?
Court helped me, and yeah, it was awesome.
The getting blown off part or getting help
Yeah,
part?
I got a gnarly bruise. It was pretty cool.
Why is that cool?
I guess it just shows hard work and just getting back up. I wasn't sure I could do this class, but whenever you get back up, you're like, okay, I can do it.
It's like a physical manifestation of like something you did, like you had something to show.
Yeah,
like, yeah, I got beat up a little bit. I went to war.
I won.
Well, cool. Thank you. Yeah, if you could read. So just for people listening again, Jerod had students write, I think, about the experience, and yours was particularly good, we thought. So
wow, I'm honored.
Take it away.
Okay. The ride convinced me of how physically capable I am. After overcoming my fear, I pedaled farther and harder than I thought possible. I slowly realized that we are all far more capable than we believe. We can get air into our lungs and oxygen to our muscles when only one eye can see. We can get back on our bikes after we fall. We can make it up a hill at the end of a 30-mile ride. We can if we choose to. We only have to get out of our way and do the damn thing.
That gives me goosebumps.
Thanks.
How do you feel when you read that?
I feel proud. I put a lot of effort into it because I knew that Jerod's a good writer, so I didn't want to give him something not so good. I put it through Grammarly, checked all the grammar.
I guess a better question is, how do you feel about yourself, like being able to, be here on your own accord? I mean, we are all in this together, so to speak, but you carried all your gear, you put it all on there, and you pedaled your bike all the way here,
Yeah, it's fun. I feel like sometimes there's a little bit of intimidation around outdoor sports or just outdoor activities, and you feel like you have to have like all the right gear and be like the most prepared. But the truth is that you just kind of have to do your best and get out there and just pedal. Yeah, I think that's what I learned today.
Yeah. Is anyone else impressed with themselves? Anybody else like impress themselves or surprise themselves?
This is Anna. And I would definitely say that I'm impressed with myself on being able to just do this. I've never been a runner, never been any kind of endurance person. I've ridden horses, so horses have done all the work for me in all of the past. So it's kind of like being my own horse when I'm on a bike, and it's very challenging. And whenever I signed up for this class, I didn't realize just how rigorous it would be. And whenever I learned that the first bike ride would be around 30 miles, I just did not think I could do it. I thought that I was going to have to tell my friends to come pick me up and send them my location, but I was able to make it. And every time that I get on the bike, it seems like I'm able to do better and do things that I didn't think I could do the time before. So I think that's pretty solid of myself.
Yeah, for sure. That's a really good point. I mean, I'm curious, if you don't mind following up on that, how it is to experience, because I assume, I don't know what kind of horse riding you did. I don't know if you did trail riding or dressage. I don't know what you did. So what kind?
So I have barrel raced since I was around 12, so Western riding, and I've owned my own quarter horse. We just go to different events. They're called play days. You do all kinds of different things around poles, and you just run really fast, and it's just all about sprinting, being as fast as you can. You don't have to go out there, and you're basically only breathing hard because of the adrenaline, not because of the work, but that's the exact opposite with biking. It's, well, a little bit of both, but definitely way more work to bike up these huge hills, and even going down them is kind of a lot of work because you don't want to fly off like I almost did.
Aside from the feeling that you have doing it or accomplishing, something you set out to do, like, how did you feel today while we were out there? I mean, it was a long day, beautiful day. Were you enjoying it, or were you wishing you had a horse to take you down the trail?
Well, I enjoyed it. The weather was awesome, and a lot of the time, whenever it was getting really hard and just straight lines after straight lines and I felt like there was no end, I would just kind of be singing songs to myself to distract myself from how hard I was breathing and to try to get through the stretch. And I always find that kind of helps me, because if I just sing the same song over and over again, it helps pass the time a little bit. I was singing the campfire song from SpongeBob.
Okay. I don't know that one, but we'll insert it in the podcast so everybody will know. That's
that the next time I ride.
I couldn't help myself.
it's a great tip, staying in a positive mental attitude and like being in a positive mental place, because it is hard. You don't have a horse or a car to take in the slack, and so sometimes I mean everybody gets tired. So thank you. Did anybody else impress themselves? Anybody like wake up today and with trepidation or been feeling anxiety, and now we're here? I mean, we've done it.
Yeah, my name's Allie. But I woke up this morning and my mom, sent me the good luck text and have fun. And I replied, I'm terrified. Just because, I don't know, this is on paper, it seems like a lot, but also not a lot at the same time. And we've been talking about this trip and prepping for this trip, but you just don't know what you're getting yourself into until you are on the bike and just going. And I very quickly realized, my bike weighs a lot more when I have a lot of stuff on my bike. And so, I found myself towards the back of the group, towards the back of the pack. But I thought it was really cool today being towards the back and seeing everyone just keep going. There was this one hill that if we would have done it our very first ride, I mean, most of us would have been walking it, and every single one of us rode up the hill. And I was like, that's insane. Looking at us, I don't know, 4 weeks ago, 5 weeks ago, however long it was, we probably could not have all done that, and we did. So not only was I impressed with myself and with the endurance that I showed, also just the class and the people. And I don't know, I think that this group is something different, and it's clear that we are getting better and better every single time that we get on a bike.
Do you think that it's physical or mental? Is it that you're learning that you're more capable than you thought, or is it that you're getting stronger?
Yeah, I mean, I think that it's both, honestly. I think physically we can feel it in our legs and feel it in our lungs that this is getting to be something that, I mean, I don't want to use the word easy because it's definitely still not easy, but something that I guess we're getting more used to and becoming a little more normal. But also just mentally, seeing this group that was once strangers on our very first day of class to now we get to sit around a, fake campfire with no fire and talk about real life things and actually get to know each other and see how to push each other and encourage each other along the way. But yeah,
it's been a neat experience for me to watch all of y'all. I mean, most people go throughout their lives not realizing how capable that they are, and so having, I think, these opportunities that Jerod provides to people at a young age, I mean, who are about to enter the world in a lot of different various ways. And I think having that knowledge that you really are a capable person, that you can be put in hard and challenging situations, and through your own efforts, you can get to camp. Anybody else impress themselves? Anybody else wake up with a lot of doubt and kind of surprise themselves by being here? If not, that's okay. Okay, we'll move on. Who's been to Caprock Canyon before? Tom, why don't we, since we haven't got you. So, Tom, if you would just quickly, or not quickly, I don't care. You can take as long as you want. But how many times you've been to the park? How familiar you are? I don't even know if you're from this area.
Yeah, so the first time I came out here was on a weekend that we didn't have a ride, and I was looking to get outside and had the free time to do it. And I had no idea, no information. I just went on their website, paid the money that I knew that I had to pay them so I could park my car and not get it towed. And I found a random trail that looked cool. The first one was actually Wild Horse Loop. I actually got lost at one point, completely lost away from the trail. And I had to resort to a very pixelated Google map to find the trail. It was honestly terrifying in the moment. Because all I had was 2 peanut butter tortillas, a dog, and some kibble. So, yeah, I would have been in a bad shape if I wasn't able to find my way. But I found my way.
How did you find your way? Just stumbled onto the trail?
Yeah, so before I hit the trail, I knew to download a Google map of the area just in case, but it didn't have time to completely download. So it was pixelated. I could only see maybe what was a trail. So I just kind of headed in that direction and linked up with the trail and was able to get back.
Yeah. Well, a side note, but a tip. Man, those GPS things, they're wonderful, but they're also wrong. We just went out to Big Bend, and I mean, there was a 13-mile stretch on that I mapped. When we got there, it wasn't even there. That's part of the adventure, though.
Sure.
A little bit, and you learn from it, hopefully. And
definitely, I won't be making
die.
that mistake again, or I'll be bringing a compass at least.
So I'm curious how you feel now, sitting here, being in this place. What's it like to experience it whenever you ride your bike through the same terrain versus driving a car here and camping and doing it that way?
It's really, really, really different. Whenever I came the first time, like, I knew that the hills that I was driving in my car, I was going to have to ride. I just didn't know which ones. I quickly found out which ones I was on because I had to walk them. So, but it was really like, it was a different pace, a different outlook. Like, I came into the park in a car and it was like, wow, this is cool rocks. And then it's like, I come out here on a bike and it's like, I've just put in 35 miles of sweat to get here. And it's like, wow, these are really, really cool rocks. So
that's the thing, man. I don't know exactly what it is, but I guess it's earning it. It's earning your right to be here, and it's watching all those people in their minivans drive in with their bikes on the back, and we're all riding in with our bikes and all of our camping gear and everything that we need. Did anybody get a sense of pride whenever you saw those people?
Definitely.
Feels good, doesn't it? Actually, who had a challenge today? Who had a hard moment? Did anybody have a hard moment or a moment of doubt?
So my name is Michael Dean. Last night I realized my bike had some thorns in it, and I had neglected to get the required material for an extra tube, and I was super nervous coming out that maybe my tires were going to pop. And thanks to Professor Foster and everyone here who has been such a blessing and has provided for someone who has clearly slacked on prep. It was nice because they didn't make me turn around and say, no, you didn't come prepared. I mean, everyone kind of works together when you're out here.
Yeah.
It's definitely a group effort to get to the campsite. As much as it is the individual challenges, it's really nice. We're all cheering each other on our way up. But for sure, that doubt was a challenge. That was I even going to be able to go? Where else was I going to falter? I mean, if I came ill-prepared already, where else was I going to follow along? So I was facing a lot of doubt at the beginning.
Yeah.
But then once I got to talking with people and kind of recognizing the group effort that was involved, I became a lot stronger.
What was your experience going into this particular trip with bikepacking?
Well, I had never bikepacked.
This was your
ever.
first one?
This first experience ever.
Yeah.
Luckily, Dr. Keene gave us a water bag so I could pack my sleeping bag, and getting everything set up was way more challenging than I ever thought it would be. I've packed for a lot of different trips in my life, but making sure to delegate and pack everything in a very consistent order on my bike, not only to put all the weight and distribute the weight across my bike, but also to make sure I had everything I need, and that like food could be in arm's reach, and then the stuff like camping gear could be packed away until we got here, was stuff I really had to consider when packing.
So what happened to all the fears and doubts that you had sitting here now?
Well, sitting here now, luckily I've been blessed and provided for, so I wouldn't neglect making sure you have everything before you go, because while I was blessed, if you're out doing this on your own, you might struggle a bit more.
Yeah.
But sitting here now, it's really rewarding. Being a part of a team, being a part of a group effort, it's kind of out of this world when you think about it.
It is. It's off most people's radars. They have no idea what bikepacking is or that people even do this. I'm guessing many of y'all didn't know that people did this either. It's like, wait, we're going to do what?
Right.
So, I mean, there's already that mental hurdle of not even knowing about it. And then hearing it's 30 miles, you're going to carry 50-pound of gear. And like you said, all the logisticals and trying to figure out how to, there could be a lot of doubt, but that's kind of the fun part of overcoming it. There was someone over here that y'all were chuckling about that had a moment today. Okay, let's hear it.
Okay, this is Allie again. Okay, so I'm pretty stubborn, and like most of my friends that know me, that would probably be like the first word that would come to mind. And, when things like don't go my way or when like I let myself down, it really gets to me. So we had just stopped for our very first time. I was feeling good. I was like, I think I had just told Sky, I think I like bikepacking. I was like, this is fun. I'm having fun. And then we all started going again. And I was like, ooh, my bike feels really weird. And Justin and Dylan were like, yeah, you're major flat in the back. So I didn't know how to change a tire. I didn't even have, or like air up my tire. I didn't even have like the sealant thing that I was supposed to have because I thought that it was in my little thing, but it wasn't, my little bag, but it wasn't in there. And so I learned how to fix a tire, which I was like, okay, this is good, which made me a little nervous the whole rest of the way because I was like, there's going to be lots of rocks and I may have to do this again. So they thankfully taught me how to fix my tire. Everything was good. And then like, I don't know, 5 minutes later, my pants were like sitting on the back of my saddlebag and I guess a pant leg fell down. And it got caught in like my brake thing and on my back wheel. I'm using all the wrong terminology.
No, you're good.
I don't know.
Yeah, you're totally good.
Of it. But it got caught in the brake. So my back tire just like immediately like skid to a stop. And I was like, oh no, it's flat again. No, my pants were caught in it. And so I was like, oh gosh. And I had just left like Dylan and Justin just a little bit. And they came and they were like, you good? And I was like, my pants are in my chain. And so Dylan like had tried to like get him out and everything. My pants are in my chain. And we got him out, but there's like some pretty serious holes in the side. So I ripped my pants like 5 minutes after I got my flat. And I had just found out, my roommate had like texted me and our like group message was going off about how we didn't have water at the house and we weren't going to have it until Tuesday. And I was like, oh gosh, like I just want to go home now. Like this is just not fun. And had some tears, a moment of some weakness, and that's okay. But we're good now. And I don't know, I'm ready for day 2 tomorrow with my ripped pants. And now I know how to change a tire. But yeah, very thankful for the people here that didn't, make fun of me or too much fun of me, and kept me grounded in knowing that even though I am stubborn, like things happen and, it's life and I'll just keep going.
How'd you get out of that kind of down, time? I mean, it can be hard to like, things can like pile up and your road gets rocky and you're like, oh man, it's just going worse and worse and worse. And
yeah, honestly, after my cry, I got like a moment to just like ride by myself for a few miles, let my tears fall. And then I think we made it to the cave and I had like seen my first people since all of that had happened. And I was like, I ripped my pants and like I got a flat and they're like, oh, we were wondering where you were. But, they like talked me down and they were like, it's fine. Like it happens and it's only uphill from here. Literally, it's all up. It was a lot of uphill from there. But no. And so they helped me like kind of get myself back together.
Yeah.
And we got to take a little moment to take a break and just sit and enjoy each other's company before getting back on a bike. And so that was really helpful for them to, talk me down and be there for me to listen. And if I needed to cry more, they were always there. So, yeah.
I'll tell you what, there's a saying in bikepacking, and I don't know exactly what it is, but crying is inevitable. Everybody cries in bikepacking. There is no shame in that. At some point, you're going to cry. Jared, have you cried?
Yeah.
I've only cried once, but yeah. Mine was on my 500, yeah. We don't like to talk about it.
I got lost in the gully one time. I don't think he noticed because he was about a mile ahead of me. And I just kind of just wept as we walked. And because he's a stronger cyclist, so he'd hop on and like ride, and I would like get on my bike, which and like so I was crying over the handlebars. And we get up there, and he's like, "You all right?" I'm like, "I'm good. Let's go."
Yeah. Any more like accidents, crashes? Any more tears? Any more drama? No. Trying to turn Bikes for Death into a dramatic podcast, but
I don't have any more drama, but but I would like to expand on what y'all said.
Please, yeah. Yeah, expanding is welcome. Yeah, if someone says something that...
Yeah, so this is Anna again, and both what Michael Dean and Allie said really like resonated with me, because I know that I could not do any of this alone, and especially when I'm sitting there like I talked about earlier, and it just looks like the road will never end, and I just have to keep pedaling and pedaling. A lot of also what keeps me going is seeing other people in front of me, and if they can do it, then I can do it too. And so it's like we said earlier, it's an individual effort, but I don't think that individual effort would be possible without the group, and without the group being together and being able to see each other and rely on each other's company, and physically and just around each other mentally. And yeah.
I'll say that I'm glad you brought that up, because I meant to comment on that as well. I was a Boy Scout leader previously, and I've had the privilege to go with Jerod in 2019 with his class, and now here in, what are we, 2021? I almost said 2020, but that year never happened. When Jerod calls me and says, "Hey, do you think you make it?" I'm going to be here, because getting to watch, we do some cool stuff when we go, and everybody's rugged and tough and all that stuff, but what's really neat is watching people like come together and be in something together. And I'm older, and so like I kind of like miss the old days when there wasn't cell phones and people talked more and we supported. I don't know. I don't know y'all, so I'm not like trying to throw generalizations at y'all, but it is very powerful to watch people go through an experience together and to lift each other up and to support each other, and we really carry each other through. So yeah, but it's that spirit of us as a group, as a team, that we're doing it together, but you're still pedaling your bike. No one got lifted any load off. No one got strapped to another bike or got a tow or anything. I mean, we all got here. What?
Those were options. I could have been towed.
I didn't bring my tow strap, but my daughters get tow straps when we go on bikepacking trips. Who grew up camping? Is it Sky? Faith. Sorry, Faith. Who are you, Sky? Okay. Y'all are close. I'm sorry.
This is Faith here. You're
Hi,
good.
Faith.
We met today, so it's okay.
Yeah, thank you, Faith. So you grew up camping. Just give me like a brief, again, I keep saying brief. Just tell me a little bit about your experience backpacking and camping.
I've actually never backpacked, but I have camped with my family all growing up. Slept in tents, slept outside, slept on a fish dock, slept in the boat. We did a lot of fishing and camping growing up just because we really enjoy the outdoors, and I got brothers that love to play with bugs and go fishing and all kinds of outdoorsy stuff that I guess could be generalized as like guy stuff, but it's really not. I think it's really fun to camp out, honestly. I think the outdoors are for everybody, honestly. Yeah.
That's what I'm preaching.
Yeah.
I'm curious, well, you answered one of my questions about if you love the outdoors. I mean, because some parents drag their kids camping and they really don't like it, but you grew to really enjoy it.
Yeah, I would say whenever I was probably like 14, 15, it got to where it was like, man, like I'm gonna be outdoors camping without my phone, without my friends, blah, blah, blah. And it got to where it was annoying, but I couldn't tell you like how excited I was for this trip, simply for the fact that like I was gonna turn my phone off and like not have service and not receive emails and not be told what I was gonna do for the next 24 hours. I was just gonna do this, like, yeah, it was gonna be hard, and yeah, it was gonna be tough and whatever, but it was gonna be rewarding. It was gonna be something I put work into, instead of like, being behind a freaking Zoom camera one more time. Like, I'm so sick of that. And like, I don't know, I think that probably made this that much sweeter.
Yeah. Excellent point. I mean, being able to disconnect from everything is such a relief, because we're inundated all the time. Bosses, teachers, parents, news, everything, we're always like inundated. Although we haven't camped yet, you bike packed all the way to camp. I'm curious about your experience, and how does bike packing compare to camping? How does it compare to like ride here and be in this space versus driving your car?
I feel like whenever you're just camping and you're not carrying all your stuff on a backpack or on a bike and packing it tightly, you're looking forward to the sleep out more, or like looking forward to like the next day or whatever your activity kind of surrounding the sleeping is. But to like whenever you're just carrying all your stuff, like And I was telling people today, like, I'm going to sleep so hard tonight, and it's not going to matter, like, what crawls on my face or what's around me or what makes noise, because I'm going to sleep hard because I worked hard today and I carried all of it, and then I'm going to pick it up and go again tomorrow. So
yeah, we
I
don't
think
do
it's
that to our bodies very often, do we?
right.
I think we used to use them back in the day, and now we have all the luxuries, and so we really don't give ourselves the opportunity to push ourselves and really kind of find out what our limits are and what we're capable of doing.
Yeah, people are a lot more capable of what they think they are.
Yeah, I think so. I think you're probably hopefully proving it to yourselves a little bit. Sorry, your name?
Jacob.
Jacob. So I'm curious the same thing about your backpacking or camping history a little bit.
So I grew up as a Cub Scout, and then I became a Boy Scout, and now I'm an Eagle Scout now. So I've had a bunch of experience. I have the camping badge, which requires 60 hours of, I think it's 60 hours of camping, and then 22 camping days in total. So I've had a lot of experience going camping, but I've never done anything like bikepacking before, and it's a whole new world.
We did a lot of like week-long trips up into the mountains and backcountry. Did you get some good backpacking and backcountry experience?
Yeah, I've done that before, and that just like I said, a different world compared to this.
Yeah. What about cycling? Yeah, what's your experience with cycling coming into this class?
I used to cycle a lot on campus when I was in my first year, but after that I just sort of dropped off, and I sort of lost a lot of experience coming to biking, and so this was my first big biking thing in a really long time.
What was your experience like? So you have a pretty good history with backpacking and being in backcountry experiences and experiencing the world on foot. What was it like today experiencing a similar type terrain on a bike?
It was really different because not only can you carry so much more weight, you can carry stuff on your bike, you can extend the amount of weight you can carry, but you're also going so much faster and you can carry so much more weight, and it also encumbers you more, and so you slow down, and it was a lot more difficult than backpacking to me.
I think you'll find with time, if you choose to, you'll sort out all those things that are annoying. You'll see Jerod and I mean, no, we've been doing this a while, and my shit's not flying off. It's going to be pretty dialed. And I did forget my battery pack. So thank you, Dylan, for the charger right now. Can I ask Maddie a question? So I don't know how well all of them know you, I guess decently well, but you went on the 2019 trip that I was on, the first one I went on. And I mean, I know you'll remember the night. It was Choro Vista. Night 3, I think, at Big Bend, and it was the most magnificent sunset I'd ever seen to this day. I mean, it just blew my mind, and I think a lot of people had really moving experiences, but you in particular had a really moving experience, I felt like, and you actually made some pretty remarkable statements. I remember you're like, I'm changing my life. This is what I want to do, or something. You're like, I want to find a way to incorporate this in my life. And talking today, I found out that you have kind of pursued that a little bit more, and then you're kind of going in that direction. And I'm just wondering, what was it, do you know, that kind of shifted your perspective, or what changed,
Going through life, I mean, it doesn't matter how young you are. You have people that are trying to shape you in a certain way. You have people that are watching closely over the decisions that you make, and you start to believe what they say, and you start to think, well, maybe I am limited to only doing certain things within my life. And you talked about that night, and I came to a realization that I pushed myself far enough to get to this point. And I remember watching Adventure Media videos and thinking to myself, that's not practical for me. There's people out there that do this, but I'm not going to be one of those. So, that night it was just extremely moving, and it was emotional. And after that trip, I realized, if I'm capable of this, then there's not really anything keeping me from pursuing my dreams. I wanted to become a filmmaker, and it's set to be maybe a slightly impractical job, or at least in my life it was. And so it's always well, how are you going to make money? This isn't stable. But if you have your mind set to something, and you know that you're going to be able to dedicate time to doing really well at it, then there's absolutely nothing keeping you from that. And so, yeah, the Adventure Media trip, I mean, it changed my life forever. So
you've kept up the cycling.
Yeah.
Have you
I've tried.
And you've continued to do some bike packing trips?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. How many have you been on? Do you know?
Bikepacking trips? So I guess I did Adventure Media in 2020, the year that didn't exist. And after that trip was canceled, me and a group of people decided, well, why don't we just go anyways? So we did, how many days was it? 4? It was 4 days, which was a little bit limited to what we would have done, but it was really a cool moment because I was like, well, I did this without my professor. I didn't need his guidance.
Yeah.
So I did that.
How would you have felt, as we were talking about, the first time we had a big group, a team, that was all out there together? Do you think you would have been able to have that same level of confidence going without a professor for the first time? Or do you think that was like a helpful stepping stone?
That was a huge stepping stone.
Yeah.
You can have a group of people that you go with, but maybe in a way having a professor is like, it's like your teacher, like you're getting a grade from this person. So maybe that's a little bit of a helpful push. You always want to impress your teacher. So
yeah. I don't know. I never had a teacher. But I would imagine if I went to college, I would have.
Yeah. If you pick the right college, you'll get some pretty good professors.
Well, it's neat. I mean, your experience really stood out to me. What's interesting is like how like that moment, that weekend doing something like this can teach you so much about your life and can show you so much about what you're capable of that it alters the course of your life. Like you're like, it's only a few years later, but I mean, in your mind, if it changes in your mind, you're going to go in a different direction. I oftentimes wonder like what it is about just riding your bike across a place when you could just drive and go to the same campsite and see the same sunset, but it's not going to change your life. You're not going to sit there in tears and cry and weep over the beauty that's there because you just drove your car there.
Yeah. Biking also kind of like forces you to sit with your thoughts for a pretty good amount of time, and it's so easy to not do that in today's world with such a fast moving pace. And like you can pretty much spend 12 hours a day with a screen in your face, and you can't do that when you're biking.
And nowadays it's like your work too, so there's just no way to get away from it. I'm curious, who has thoughts on this class and maybe Jerod Foster? He didn't set me up for this, but I'm really curious, like what it's like to be y'all and maybe not have a ton of outdoor experience or cycling experience or whatever, and you decide that you're going to sign up with this wild man professor and going to go and do some crazy things. Like, so you may have any thoughts on this? Yeah, please.
All right, my name is Jocelyn, and I applied to be in this class. You have to have an interview and all that. Honestly, didn't think I was going to get into it just because, I had no biking experience and no camera experience. So, but I'm here now. And
why did you want to sign up then?
So I have to take an honors seminar, and I looked at all of the ones, and this was the only one that was not in a classroom.
Okay.
And last semester, I didn't really get out much. And so I was like, this semester, I want to go outside, because I love the outdoors. I just didn't do it. And so, and so this one just really stuck out. I watched videos from previous years, and I was like, that's so cool. Because I never really knew people just went out and biked for fun like that.
What did you think? Did you think they were all like hardcore racers and in their tight outfits?
Yeah, it looked it's just nothing I was used to for sure. And I remember, I think Foster asked me, what I thought, if I was athletic or not, and I was like, yeah, I'm athletic, I think. But then I saw 30, 40 mile rides, and I was like, excuse me, that's so long. I didn't get to go on the first ride with them because I was sick, but I went on the second ride, and that was the one where it was a dust storm.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, surely he's going to cancel. Everyone's freaking out about this weather storm. Surely he's not going to make us go bike in that. And he kept putting it off, telling us if it was going to be canceled or not. And sure enough, it wasn't canceled.
So we woke up early and went out there, and it was really rough. It was the first time for me to bike, and it was extreme weather, long distance. I was in the back the whole time, but it was really cool. I impressed myself, like many of y'all were saying earlier, that I've actually finished. And, it's a cool story to tell to family and
Especially
friends.
those pictures to help tell the story.
And you have pictures to back it up. So I got to, take pictures, and it was really awesome. So, yeah, it's a really cool class, and I am thankful that Foster is crazy enough to send us out there and stuff like that.
Whenever I first heard about this, I thought Jerod was a little crazy. To do these things. Not a lot of people do it. It's just, it isn't done. But I think that we can all see the value and the benefit of it and why he does it. Something Jerod and I both believe. Did you talk to them about fighting nature deficit disorder?
So nature deficit disorder is not a thing, but it is a thing. And years and years ago, this guy named Richard Louv wrote a book called Last Child in the Woods, and it was all about how we're aggressively separating ourselves from experiences in the outdoors, and of course what that might do for us both psychologically, as communities, so on and so forth. And so one of the big reasons Dr. Keenan and I created this class, especially the way it is now, is so we can do some of our work to fight nature deficit disorder, to put people out there. And sadly, it's your generation that Richard Louv was actually talking about. Like, your generation's the one that has nature deficit disorder, maybe more intensely than everybody else. And so being able to do a class like this is rewarding for us as the faculty, but we hope it's that much more rewarding for the student, because this can lead to a lifelong of just being attracted to outdoor experiences and seeing and experiencing a place differently.
Or just learning about yourself. That's part of the book. Is what it says is like kids growing up now are way more knowledgeable of the world that they live in from maybe a book or a textbook standpoint, or YouTube or whatever. Wikipedia, but not so much from an experiential standpoint. And it's everything from the well manicured parks that have rules. But you notice as we came out here, Jerod didn't give you all a lot of rules. We had a route. And he kind of trusted you to get along. And of course, if you needed help, there was going to be some help to get you along. There was people climbing up on the top of the rafters at that cave thing.
Well, you were probably all told, like when you were growing up, like, hey, don't do stuff like that. Yeah. You might get hurt. And that's one of the prime examples in the book. You don't go climb you don't climb your neighbor's trees anymore. Why? It's because if you fell off, like, you might get sued. The neighbor may get sued, by your parents or something like that. That's a pretty specific and extreme example, but why not go do those things? Like, try it out.
Yeah, I believe, and as a father, that when you allow people to develop their own experiences, they're going to learn it better. Your motor skills, even your critical thinking skills. Like, for me, this extends way beyond just enjoying the outdoors and bikes. For me, I think we're starving ourselves of real experiences. The kinds that we shared today, really experiencing a terrain, really experiencing a place, really experiencing the people that we're with, and like seeing somebody crying, being able to be there for them, be their friend. That's good for both people, It's in these experiences that we really get to learn a lot more and grow.
So, The Shallows is a book by Nicholas Carr, he's a pop science author. And in that book, he talks about how the quote that creates the title is something. This is a Justin Keene paraphrase, but it's something along the lines of, "I used to be able to dive deep into the depths of a book and explore its worlds and its depths, and now I fight to stay in the shallows of social media." And so, it was this idea that just constant inundating, and this is even true for us even more now, right? Like, we have like Zoom classes and all of this. And this book was written a few years ago. His concept is spot on, that we've given ourselves so much digital input all the time that it makes us really hesitant, or it makes it almost impossible even to like really deeply engage with things, with places, with people, right? That we're more willing to just kind of retract and kind of exist in this shallow, like, I'm just going to keep on refreshing my Twitter feed and see what comes up next, instead of really pushing into a book. Faith and I earlier, I think it was Faith.
Or watching YouTube channels about Caprock Cannon.
Yeah.
You can really, and that's a scare with like virtual reality, is people are going to go and like People are going to go and like record virtually, you know, an area, and then you can sit at home and like watch, you know, someone else take the hike for you.
Yeah, absolutely. So I brought my son along. So I have an injured foot, so I can't ride this year. And so I'm trying to find a way to at least give the class something that might be an interesting story. So this is Jackson, and he's 11, and he's never camped before. And so despite me spending a lot of time away from my family for any number of different camping trips, he has not tagged along before. So I brought him along. So earlier somebody was asking him what he likes to do for fun. And he said, well, I read and I play basketball and that kind of thing. And somebody, was it Faith? I don't want to pin this on you if it was not your quote, but somebody said, I wish I enjoyed to like reading in that way. Right. Was it Maddie? I don't know. You know, like, and so like, and I joked that I wish I was just fully literate. And so like, but you know, to some extent, it's really true right now that we have to fight so much for depth because it's so easy to find the shallow thing, to find the YouTube video, or to find the little course video that you need to watch anyway, instead of like deeply engaging. And I think one of the benefits of Jerod and I designing the class in the way we did around these mini trips, and then in a normal non-COVID year, some kind of larger trip, is that it forces students to turn off their phone, and it forces them to have some depth, you know, like even our interview questions that we ask you,
not just students.
Yeah, even us. Yeah. When we hit the gate, I texted my wife, we made it, and I put my phone in airplane mode. You know, like I don't want to know anything else, right? And you know, even our questions that we ask you all in the interview are intended to draw out some depth from you, right? Like we could just have a Google form for have you camped before, yes or no, and do you know how to ride a bike, yes or no, and if you don't, are you willing to learn? Yes or no? You know, like that kind of thing. And to some extent, there is a form actually that they fill out where they click those. But the reason why we have an interview is, hey, like we want to see what you're really about. And are you gonna really engage with this? Is this something that we can draw you out a little bit of a normal college experience and give you a chance to like really deeply think about yourself and the place and the people? It's such a unique opportunity. And I think we're really lucky that we had a supportive administration that trusted us to let people climb on top of caves and ride mountain bikes down dangerous things. That when we pitched it, I'm the pessimist in our relationship, and so I was sure that they were going to go, oh God, no. Like that's an insurance liability waiting to happen. And so we did it, and they've been supportive all along for 5 years, and it's been really awesome. So
one thing I thought of, and it's a little self-promoting, but someone earlier, he asked me why I started the podcast. There's a lot of reasons I started the podcast, but the real reason I wanted to start a podcast, and I started one previous to Bikes for Death, is it's all about trying to be an antidote to all the bullshit and all the shallow everything that's out there. And it really got to me to the point where, you know, I turned off a lot of that stuff and stopped watching it. I turned off all my notifications, and I just am like trying to focus on like creating more positive content, you know, to just be an antidote to all the negativity and the shallowness that's out there. Sorry, we're getting a little sermon-y here.
Life coach section.
Life coach. Bikes for Death life coach. Who is scared about tomorrow? Anybody worried? You did today. What is
I'm worried that it's going to be really windy and going back uphill, especially that section from the Allsums back towards the tunnel. That I'm afraid that that's going to be really difficult.
Yeah. And what if it is?
Just going to have to get through it.
There you go. Did you want to comment as well?
Sure.
Why not?
So I think you summed that up pretty well. But I'm definitely scared. Mostly the hills. Hills are quite a challenge for me. And we experienced some of those today, but we're going to be experiencing the harder part of them tomorrow because they're all more uphill than they are downhill. So that's going to be really fun. Definitely looking forward to that. And looking forward to trying my best to get up a hill and then pushing it up as far as I have to. But it's definitely going to be a lot harder in my opinion. And same with what you said about the windiness. So not only is it an added challenge that it's slightly harder tomorrow than it was today, but extra challenge is the wind. So it'll just be exactly what we've been talking about this whole entire time, seeing if trying to figure out what we're made of and seeing that we are capable of more than we think we are. Because looking at that right now, I couldn't say that I could do it, but I know that I'll be able to because I've done today and because I've done all the other times that I didn't think I would be able to. So
in my experience, you'll wake up tomorrow, you'll be a little stiff, and you'll get on your bike, and it won't feel too great. but within about 10 to 15 minutes, your body will be like, oh, okay, we're doing this again. And it'll kind of get with the program. And yeah, tomorrow will be more challenging. I don't think there's any doubt about it. But, the elevation's not too steep. And whenever it's a slow, sloggy day, I take those opportunities to just slow down, don't put pressure on myself to go faster than I need to, and take that opportunity to enjoy the scenery more. I love going slow. I don't really care to go fast that much. I enjoy being out here, and I'm not in a hurry to get away from it. So I try not to go too fast. Do you remember the end of your quote? What was it?
You just have to get out of your own way and do the damn thing.
That's perfect. I can't think of a better, that kind of summarizes the whole thing. And that's, I think that's why it struck a chord when we read it, is you really do have to get out of your way. You have to get out of those mental roadblocks that you put up and realize that you are more capable and you can do this kind of stuff. And it's not your fault that you don't know that, because you haven't had the opportunity to show yourself. But there's your opportunity. So I think that's all I have. I appreciate everybody's chat. Did anybody else have anything else that was outstanding?
I had one thing.
Please, feel free.
So whenever we were interviewing for the class and we all got in, we had a little Zoom session, get to know you. And I think Jerod asked us what our favorite book was. And I went first, and he did not like my choice. And I said, okay.
What was it?
The Great Gatsby.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I personally don't like that book.
Yes.
I wasn't judging you for it.
But to be fair,
You only liked it because you had to read it in high school.
No. I love that book. But to be fair, when you said your favorite, I didn't like it either. So I was like, okay, we're even now.
All right, what's your favorite?
Did I say Animal Farm?
Yeah.
Okay. Animal Farm.
Yeah. So I wasn't sure how else was going to go. We didn't have a lot in common, I guess. Our books didn't match up. But when I started the class, I think what really struck me was just how much respect I had for Jerod and for Justin. This was probably a difficult thing to start, to get approved, and just to spend the time with a bunch of 20-year-olds who are weird and different, and to leave their families to take us on trips and to teach us new things. I think that is really amazing and shows a lot of character. And even for all the people that are in this class who could be at bars or could be doing anything, and they've chosen to give up Saturdays to develop their character and to hopefully gain a little grit in your teeth and in your character. And when we were interviewing, I think Jerod Justin asked me why I wanted to take the class. And I love the outdoors and I love cameras. I'm learning to love cameras. But what I really love is human relationships and seeing how people interact with each other. And I think when you're in the outdoors, your barriers go down and you are not able to be fake at all. You're tired, your muscles are completely depleted, and sometimes you don't always have enough water. And you have to lean on each other. And I think that throughout all these weeks that we've been biking together, I've just seen so many amazing character qualities in everybody and seen a lot of growth, and I can look at each person and name something I love about them. Oh. And I just really like that about this class.
It's a beautiful thing. What would be, if you don't mind, one more follow-up, what would you say to anybody who's listening that maybe has never gone on a bikepacking trip and is scared and timid and maybe doesn't have a great support system like this? Do you have any advice?
Yeah, I would say don't let inexperience stop you, because the truth is Jerod started somewhere where he didn't know anything. None of us were born with this knowledge. None of us knew how to do any of the things that we were good at. And you don't know if you're good at it until you try. And the worst thing that can happen, in my opinion, is you get to, 60, 70, you can't bike pack, and you say, I wish when I was 20 I had taken that bikepacking class.
Yeah.
So I just say, get out of your way and do the damn thing.
And if it was a Bikes or Death podcast, we'd say, get out of your way and go ride your damn bike.
Oh, perfect.
Man, y'all are great. Thank you all so much for the chat. That's it. We're done.
Great.
Yeah.
Sweet. Good job, guys.
Yay. All right. Well, that episode was a little bit different than, any one I've ever done before. That was the first time I'd ever kind of led a campfire style discussion in a large group of people. So to be honest with you, I went into it with a lot of nerves and probably not as prepared as I would have liked to have been. But I think that what we got out of that was pretty cool. And it definitely, there were some times when I was there personally where I was moved, by the feelings and the experiences that these students were having and sharing, and their vulnerability to do that, and their vulnerability to put themselves out there, put themselves outside of their comfort zone, to push themselves and to ask the question, can I do it? And then step up to the plate and fucking do it. I mean, I just love this shit. So I hope you did too. Hey, listen, I don't have a lot of time. It is 10 o'clock at night. I am leaving tomorrow on a 5-day Bikes or Death podcasting trip. Van or Death is going on the road finally. So I have to get this podcast recorded, edited. I've got to get it up on the website and the social medias and all the stuff. So it's ready to go for tomorrow because I haven't packed shit. And I'm going to be gone for 5 days and interviewing 4 guests. It's going to be crazy. I literally started like planning logistics. I got all the guests lined up, all the dates lined up like a few weeks ago, but didn't really nail down any of the particulars until I think about yesterday. But regardless of that, I am beyond excited to get Bikes or Death on the road. This is a journey that started almost from the very beginning, which was to get a van that will allow me to travel around the country and snag interviews in person. I just don't think there's a substitute for in-person interviews. Just me as a person, like I feel more comfortable sitting across from somebody when I can feel like their vibe, and I just feel more comfortable. And if I'm more comfortable and they're more comfortable, then I just think it lends for a better conversation. So it's just more fun. You get to get out. I love a road trip. So again, COVID protocols are all in place. I went and got COVID tested today. I got my COVID vaccine, first shot yesterday. I'm going to be self-contained, self-quarantined. We're going to interview outdoors, no hugging, touching, kissing, or otherwise. So listen, I'm excited, but I am a little nervous because getting back on the road means it's going to cost a little bit more, which means I have to beg a little bit more. And I hate to beg, but it comes with the territory. And I have accepted podcast as a job title. So I also have to accept that begging is part of the job. It just comes with it, you know? So here we go. Buckle in. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, sports fans of all ages, thank you for coming to my begging show of the episode. It really doesn't take a lot to support this show. Patreon is the best way to really show your support because you become a sustaining member of the show. And I know that you're in it for the long haul. And when I know you're in it for the long haul, it makes me want to be in it for the long haul. You know what I'm saying? And it really doesn't matter if it's $1 a month. You know, I say that all the time. There's several levels that you can sign up, but $1 a month is great. And it really does help, you know? So I am really going to start ramping up and making that reality of taking the van on the road and doing in-person interviews that, you know, you all are the ones that supported me. Whenever I wanted to outfit this van and did a GoFundMe, y'all stepped up and like legitimately made this a reality. And so now it's like the fruition of the plan that was put on hold by COVID is finally now like actually happening tomorrow. Like I'm leaving tomorrow. Anyway, I'm sorry I'm rambling, but I'm excited. And I'm also poor. So if you can, seriously, head over to patreon.com/bikes or death. We are doing some cool things over there to actually incentivize or make it more appealing. We have Patreon perks coming from lots of cool brands. Not releasing them yet. We did release one today. One of our sponsors, 6 a.m. work shirts, 20% off. So if you're a Patreon, you're going to go in and get that code right now. But that's not all. We have a lot more perks coming. And another change that's taking effect actually as of tomorrow. When you become a patron, you're not going to get a coupon code for $1 amount off the web store. Now you're going to get a percentage discount on the web store whenever you want it. So if you sign up for $1 a month, You get 5% off everything on the web store anytime you want it. You can order 10 times a year. You can order 1,000 times a year. It doesn't matter. Because the way I look at it is if you're giving me $1 a month, I'm going to give you a 5% discount every month. And if you're giving me $10 a month, I'm going to give you a 20% discount every month. You see how that works? I think it's fair. So anyway, if you want to know all about the benefits that come along with supporting this show, aside from just supporting the show, aside from just feeling good and knowing that you are part of what helps keeps the PSI in our tires and keeps them rolling and rolling and rolling, onward, forward, always forward. Okay, that's it for me. Thank you all for being here. I've got a lot to do to get on the road, so I'm going to get to it. But I just want to remind you that Bikes or Death is more than just about riding bikes. It is a lifestyle. It is the idea that a life without bikes is a life not worth living. So with that, go ride your damn bike.
It was the middle of the night. You grabbed your knife and you held it tight. The sounds of beasts kept you awake. The sounds they made kept you afraid. In the morning, you packed your bike. Memories forgotten from the previous night. You rode faster than ever before. Was it your imagination or merely folklore? Fear turned into strength as you pushed further. Every pedal stroke stronger and firmer. Your bike feels weightless, your legs aren't tired. You think to yourself, just a few more miles. Bikes, oh death. Bikes, oh death.